Good afternoon and welcome to the Joy Show, the place where being you is celebrated and rewarded. There is just one you. And when we celebrate that, life is just better all the way around. I'm so grateful that you're here today. And I'd like to start with our land acknowledgement. In the spirit of reconciliation and peace, we are grateful for the opportunity to meet on these sacred lands. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. We recognize our oneness. We realize our history, and we choose to create a new reality. We are one. Miigwech. Well, my guest today is a remarkable woman. Her name is Dr. Nadene Rogers. She is a veteran speaker, workshop facilitator for 30 years. She doesn't look old enough for that, but that's okay. Nadene is inspired by the belief that humanity knows that every individual has within them all they need to manifest a life of joy, peace, fulfillment, and meaning. And I'm not going to say any more about that. Welcome, Nadene. I am so grateful you're here.
Well, good morning. Good morning, Barb, and everyone watching. It's such a joy to be here, and I use the word joy because it's one of my monikers. And you know what? You know what? It's not 30 years. I should have caught that in the bio when I sent it to you. It's 50 years. So thank you for the age compliment.
We're not believing the 30. Well, we're surely not believing the 50.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You know, age is a whole new thing, right? Like times
It
have changed and people, we're not aging like we used to. We've got all kinds of great things going on. So tell me a little bit about your path to ministry. You've been a minister for quite a long time. You've done a lot of different things, but I'm sure I would just love to hear the journey there because that's always fun.
Well, you know, they say ask a minister to talk and they never stop. So I understand that you have an hour for this show. So I don't need to get everything. Usually they say, okay, just give us bites, right? Well, here's the whole meal in a nutshell, maybe. Let's see. I would have to start, Barb, in living in Calgary. When the title I chose is The Obstacle is the Path. So whatever I say in conversation, I'm going to try to relate to that.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Gosh. So in Calgary is where the apex of my wounding revealed itself. It revealed itself through alcoholism, but I was a very high functioning alcoholic. Amphetamine breakdown, living in the Calgary YWCA and eating out of vending machines, full of shame, full of guilt, full of self-judgment, and really feeling, lackluster wouldn't even cut it. I would say, the dregs of the earth. Now, what's interesting is I was raised in Toronto. It's my hometown. And I was raised by two people who were all about materialism and image. And they were alcoholics. So I held on to everything that I could, that I knew, which I thought was real, which was image.
Yeah.
And so living in the YWCA and eating out of vending machines was very difficult for me to swallow. The only upside was that they had a 24-hour reception service, so all my calls were answered and forwarded to my room. I said, oh, well, that's a perk, I mean, come on, the closets were this small. It had one window, and the room was like 60 square feet. I'm like, where? And oh, here, navy blue and red. That was my room. And I'm like, oh my God.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
I knew that something new wanted to be born in me.
Yes.
And I knew that I couldn't keep doing it the way I was doing it. And that it was an opportunity. Deep down, I knew this while I was whining and kvetching, but being very quiet. I completely withdrew from society. And it was a time of course, self-reflection. Now, everyone can relate to those times. Things happen in our lives and we kind of spin out or go in another direction, but it has us in deep contemplation, attached to some quiet something inside of us that knows that there's something better, and it gives us hope. So that's when, fast forward, I became a clown.
I loved your clown.
For those of you that are in Calgary listening, I was Lovable Louie, the clown, the gentleman clown. I was also Luscious Lily, the lovely mime clown. And it started out volunteering for the Variety Club of Alberta. My mentor was Shirley Gordon, who many people in the media. Yeah. And then one day someone said, "Hey, can we hire you for my child's birthday party?" And I'm like, "You want to pay me money for this?" Like, I didn't even know who I was, but I had a character. And that's what I used to communicate to the world, because I was lost.
Mm.
And clowning healed me. It righted my mind because it allowed my emotions and my thoughts, in the instant I was thinking and feeling them, to be expressed, to be released. The energy of that, in truth, authentically. Mm-hmm. I mean, I didn't have enough of an observer or a witness to go, "Oh, that's what that is," or "Oh, that." It was just the experience of it, the raw experience. And not only was I expressing it, but I was animating it, exaggerating it to such an extent that not only did people laugh and pay me money for making a complete idiot of myself, but it allowed me to see and therefore walk and support others in this realization to heal themselves, because I opened a clown school for that very reason. Mm-hmm. It allowed me to see that when you feel one thing, everything's transitory. Everything is energy, everything moves. So an example would be, I'm really sad. Well, what is the more intense vibration of sadness, right? Mm-hmm. And what comes before sadness? Yeah. Is it frustration? And then maybe you're sad, then maybe you're angry, then maybe you're in grievous. I can never say that word. Help me out. What is it? You don't know.
I'm wrapping it around my brain too. Going,
okay, then despair, utter despair, and hopelessness. But what something else happens from hopelessness, something else, because it isn't the nature of who we are. It's just the thoughts we have wrapped our head around, and the belief systems that we create based on the experiences we've had. Yeah. Right. So I got to release all of that S*** T from my early childhood, in that was stuck in a cellular level within my body, and I was free, and I had no need to drink. Because when I started taking the mask off, and it took years to do this, mind you, I started to carry out. So cute. That was an earlier picture. That was actually 16 years ago, I would say.
Wow.
I started to be able to express more authentically and be spontaneous and be more truthful and be more authentic. So that whole journey just carried me through. So, I didn't wake up deciding, "Hey, I'm going to be a clown," as I'm lying in my YWCA bed looking up at a navy blue ceiling. But something called me. Actually, it was Shirley Gordon that called me. Said I moved from there to her couch, and she said, "I'm done with you on the couch. Let's go. You got a job." And I went, "Really?" So guess what costume I chose? Well, that's a hobo clown. That thing that would express the victim that I felt I was, the hopelessness of life. And it got to me, God was able to raise me. Exactly. And it allowed me to explore my shadow long before it became a buzzword and a book title and a process.
Wow.
And so anyway, long story short, I opened a clown school. I had many contracts, corporate contracts. I had this Calgary Stampede midway for years.
Yeah.
I did the parade for 26 years.
Wow.
I work with psychologists. I got a wonderful partner, Zelda Dean, who used to co-founded or found the Glenmore Dinner Theater.
Yeah.
Her and her husband Bill, and we opened the really useful Theater Clown Alternative Institute. And she wrote and produced for me a one-woman show called Project Crossroads, which I
Wow.
toured through high schools in BC and Alberta, and it was on my journey with substance abuse. And
Beautiful.
it was a simple concept, you know. It was about me, Louie, being the braggart and the bold one who doesn't care for consequences, who was quite self-abusive and um, unaware of what he was doing in the world or what other people, how he affected other people.
Yeah.
And a pre-recorded, of course, scripted on reel-to-reel tape back in those days of my conscience speaking to me.
Yeah.
You could say higher power, God, whatever. So it was a conversation with God long before Neil Donald Walsh put his book out.
You had conversations with God first.
Well, people wouldn't have said that's what I was doing in the car, you know, but there we
Yeah.
go.
That's it. That's
God
it.
meaning the divine wisdom within you. So
Yeah.
a longer story, hopefully shorter. I ended up going to expand my company to Vancouver.
Mhm.
And I had a friend, Bernice Huxtable, who took one of my courses. Her name was Pickle Dick the Clown, and she was the fashion editor of the Calgary Herald.
Okay.
So she moved out there to be closer to her daughter, who lived, I think, on Salt Spring.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey, Bernice, would you promote me and get me started in my business on the coast?" She said, "That'd be fabulous. I'd love to do that." So it was about my second time out. I was on a bike, biking through Stanley Park, saw a tree with light and shade, a whole bunch of moss. I'm a tree moss person, earth, not
Yeah.
necessarily an ocean mountain person. And I got off the bike and I sat on the rock and I closed my eyes. Now, at that time, I was not a meditator. You couldn't get me to sit still if you paid me $1 million. I'm kind of the same now, but I've learned a little more to create balance.
Create some
And
balance.
I don't know where I went. I looked at my watch, and then when I opened my eyes, I looked at my watch. It was 40 minutes that had passed. Now, what was significant about that moment, or those moments in time, was that I heard a voice that I'd never heard before.
Mhm.
And the voice came to me and said, "Go now and make ready. You have
Mm.
6 weeks. Do not worry about any obstacles. I will help you surmount them as always. Go now." So I got on my bike. I changed my plane ticket. I went back to Calgary. I sold the one house I was living. No, I sold two houses I'd recently in the year purchased for rental income. I
Yeah.
got a tenant for the house I loved in Bankview that I wasn't willing to give up in case this voice was crazy, you know. Um, and then I packed a trunk of my clown stuff, my massage table because I was a massage therapist as well, and one suitcase. Um, and I went to BC. Oh, I rented a place before I left for Calgary. In 6 weeks, I was crossing the border from Alberta to BC. The voice came back and they said, "Clown ministry." And I'm like, "Okay, all right. Look, you got me this far. Like, don't push it, right?" So I come and I think I'm going to do clowning, which I did, picked up a few massage clients. But pretty soon I found myself without income.
Mhm.
It took about 3 months and talking to a lot of street people and giving a lot of money away because there's a lot more street people I noticed, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought, isn't that interesting? Hobo clown. And now I'm learning about the culture of those who live
Mhm.
not by choice or by choice
Yes, sometimes
on the
by choice.
street
Yeah.
and the community they had. And it wasn't, you know, commiserating and building community through unfortunate circumstances for most of them.
Yeah.
It was through choice, being free.
Yes.
And I thought, wow, totally changed my view on the homeless. You know, another layer for me to look at as a
Yeah.
hobo clown and all that stuff. And then 3 months later, I went across on the water taxi to the Celebration of Life Center on Granville Island. And that's where in Calgary, they told me, oh, you're going to love it if you ever go there. There's a crazy redhead, you know. Anyway, I walked in, 400 people, you know, seagulls dive bombing in and out of the open glass windows on the dock, a whole entourage, a band, and then came the crazy redhead, right? And she got up on the I call it stage. Later on, when I was her ministerial student, she said it's not a stage, Nadene, it's a platform. I called it audience. She's not an audience, it's a congregation. Whatever, you know, it's like, anyway, that was the minister. I would blade money that was the warm-up act. But as I got to know her, actually, through her first talk, I went, that's me. Now, divine intervention again, Barb. I never would have seen myself as a clown, let alone a minister.
Yeah.
Right? And I went through school and graduated in 1997. And I'm still there.
And you're still there. Yeah, it's interesting how that call happens, because as you were talking about everything you did, it's a little bit like when I came to Toronto to start CSL. It was, you know, 2 suitcases of summer clothes and my laptop and a one-way plane ticket to Hamilton, because WestJet didn't fly into Toronto at that point, and, you know, a wing and a prayer. But the interesting thing was the message that came when I was at the conference in, I guess it was Long Beach, and it was like a freight train through my head going, it's time. It's time to go to Toronto. And it was so loud and so immediate. And it was, yeah. So that same thing where you get that message, it's really important to listen to it.
Well, you know what I love about those things that we each just described and shared is that, you know, there's no preparation that well, now we know because we've been living a spiritual life.
Yes.
You know, we know that it's a spiritual universe governed by spiritual laws, and we're spiritual beings. So we're on the path to discover the divinity that is us so that we can shine our magnificence as human beings.
Exactly.
But what's interesting to me is that when you live a life that's guided by, and you don't always know this, but you're trying to survive, there's a lot of fear. And you believe that your survival and your safety is based on material things, the people you know, networking, everything outside yourself. How is it that your mind that is controlling everything and thinks it creates everything, which we now know it doesn't, it directs that which creates. How is it that we're open to receive and catch the message? How do we recognize it? How did I recognize it? I was not focused. I didn't do any practice. I didn't even believe, really. I never was raised, you know, I was christened in Toronto at an Anglican church, but that didn't mean anything to me. I hated Sunday school. I wasn't religious at all. Yeah. But I knew what that voice was. Why did I know? And I think that's foremost what I want to, you know, really get across. Yeah. Right. That when doesn't matter what we input into this one infinite mind of intelligence, this quantum field of potential, because it's always operating in the truth of its own nature, which is wholeness, perfection. Always. Right? It's loving. It's infinitely intelligent. It's in us, and it's always operating. So, you know, if you screw up your life, if you make mistakes, if you're down in the dumps, if your life goes sideways, build the trust. Build the trust. And how can you as a human being? Yeah, how can you as a human being do that when you feel you have no capacity or resources? You know, that's a good question. I mean, how do you do it? How did you do it?
Well, it's interesting because I came here with $40.
Hmm.
I didn't have money. I didn't have a place to live. Somebody let us sleep on a couch. So, but I was here, I think I don't know, I was here about 2 weeks,
Hmm.
and the uh, city councilor in my area was starting her campaign for the next election. And so I went out door knocking with her. And I went out 2 nights and she said, "So, do you want to come work for me?" And so I was working at City Hall within, I guess, about 2 months of arriving here. I was working at City Hall, fielding her calls and whatever, just as an assistant type position. But it was great because it gave me a paycheck while I was starting the center with Connie. And then we turned around, and in January, we were able to make enough money at that point that I no longer needed the job. So I quit that, and I've been full-time ministry since. I've never done anything else. So it's, when you look at that, because this, for me, it's 24 years now. I graduated year after you, 98. And it's like, it was the best thing I could ever do. But I didn't tell my family and stuff that I was moving here with $40 and a one-way plane ticket and no job and no home. I didn't tell them that because they probably would have locked me in the basement. But it was like, it was the perfect thing to do. And Toronto has been, it's been the great place for me. I love it here. And when I left CSL Toronto in 2011, when my dad died, I ended up going to Verity Center for Better Living, which is a it's a Johnny Coleman
Yes,
outreach,
yeah.
right? So oh, I can't remember the name of it anyway. But I started working there, and I
Mm.
was there for 11 years, working with that congregation, initially as a support for Reverend Evan. And then when he got ill in 2019, I ended up being the interim minister until they hired their new minister in 2023. So I had all of this
Mhm.
time doing different things. And then I get a phone call from CSL in 2021 going, "We want you to start another center." And I'm like, okay, I'll think about it. So
Wow,
it's
I'm
good.
shocked that there are very few centers in the East.
When I came to Toronto, there was zero.
I know.
And I'm like, how is that possible? The
Uh-huh.
biggest city in Canada, and we don't have a CSL here. And I look around now, and I think we're starting to gain some momentum. I'm hoping we're starting to gain some momentum, but it feels like I'm getting a lot more phone calls going, "Oh, you're CSL. Oh, when are you start?" Blah blah blah. People are starting to reach out. So I think there's something happening. I feel energetically like there's something really big happening. I've had a year and a half of obstacles, shall we call them?
Yes.
And what it's done is taught me the one thing I've never been able to do, and that is to ask for support. And when it's offered, accept it. I've not been good at that. It's like, fight your way through, do everything yourself. And it took falling and breaking my shoulder and whatever else to stop me in my tracks so I can't do anything. And because I can't do anything, I have to accept help.
Mhm.
And it was like, I'm going, why is this last year and a half been the way it is? And I get this little voice going, learn how to receive support. Ask for it, accept it, and that's not been my path. So that's what I'm learning right now. And fascinating, I have a back problem, and I was at the surgeon's on Wednesday about my shoulder, and I asked him whether or not there was any procedures that could actually fix my back. And he goes, "Yeah, absolutely." He gave me a referral. I got a phone call this morning, and I see the surgeon next Wednesday.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That doesn't happen in Canada in our medical field. Like, I was like, okay, well, that sounds, when I see doors opening like that, I go, okay, I'm moving in the right direction. I don't know where it's going to take me, but I'm moving in the right direction. And that I always just listen, pay attention to what's in front of me, and then go in and go, okay, now what? And it's that accepting life for what it is, because it is what it is. It can't be changed. And what is. And so from here, now what? And so if I can clear my consciousness and give up, those favorite things like worry or whatever, I don't do much of that anymore. And I don't do the guilt and shame and all that anymore. It's just such a waste of time. And I've lost a lot over the last, and my best friend up and ditched me come in, what was it, Christmas Eve. And it's like, okay, 19-year friendship just down the tubes over nothing. So life happens, and these obstacles, I think, are just opportunities of redirection, allowing us to move in a new way. So if we don't fight it, we begin to hear that voice, I think, a little bit louder and clearer than when we resist.
Well, I think it's certainly more often, because I fought it and I heard it still. So I think I agree with you, and I would say a little more frequently. And I think the opportunity under that, as you described it, was not only to pivot, and become more flexible and adaptable.
Yeah.
One is the precursor to expanding our consciousness of acceptance or receptivity. Absolutely. is non-resistance.
Yes.
Resist not, as you said.
Yeah.
Accept what is. And then, because if you don't accept but you want something different or more, it doesn't come to you.
You can't have it. You can't have it.
And I think underneath that is understanding, which I had to, and I still am, even though I demonstrate, and my life is really obstacle free, because it's not to say, I'm just saying what it is now.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I attribute it to me taking responsibility based on the fact that I know now my magnificence and my worth, and that there's a power for good in the universe. And not only am I using it, because that's kind of, okay, it's still about me wanting to direct my life. And I do. Absolutely. I'm that personality. But it's also letting it use me. And what that means to me is surrender before you need to.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I love that. That is
develop that way of walking.
Great talk title.
Yeah, let me write that down.
Not that I have the same thing.
Surrender before.
I'm going to write that down, because I'm going to use that, just so you know. I'm stealing your.
Okay, well, all right. But you better let me use it first. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, that's a whole other subject. Is there any new thought? Not really. Just to me there is.
Exactly.
But yeah, I love that. And I know that we're, the trite overused sayings like, well, just see the gift in it. There's a pony in every pile. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear you.
I don't want to hear that.
No, gosh, because what you're ultimately saying is look for the gift so that you can get out of where you're at. And what I'm saying is the obstacle is the path.
Absolutely.
And you know what? You want to bring it to you again? Why don't you just stay where you are? See the wholeness of what the experience is, not just your immediate response to it based on a judgment or a preference.
Exactly.
Be with it. It's like a moth, the old metaphor of the moth going around the flame, getting the wings singed and then getting the heck out of there, instead of going into the flame, which is where transformation happens.
Exactly.
So, and it's just not new. What I'm saying is everywhere.
That's true.
Right? Sit in it. Sit with it. Sit in it. Because everything passes. Everything shifts and changes. The only way it will change is for you to know a greater truth. And that's what we teach, right? What is that greater truth of you?
Yeah, that's exactly what we teach. And that's, living that is it's not always easy, because some of these things are challenges. We look at the obstacle and we're in the middle of it and it feels bad. But the reality is, it is merely a new moment in time. And if I can just be with it, it's going to move into something. And that's the whole thing. We're going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to be right back. You're watching The Joy Show here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm Barbara Jean, and my guest today, Dr. Nadene Rogers, who's just so full of wisdom. Oh my gosh. Don't go away, because we're going to be right back.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Om Center for Spiritual Living, La Mesa, Satya Center, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Well, welcome back, everyone. And here we are with Dr. Nadene Rogers, and we're talking about the obstacle is the path. I loved it when I saw that title, when you sent it to us. I'm like, that's exactly true. That we resist the obstacles, but the obstacles are absolutely, if we just embrace them, they shift and move much faster than when we resist. We resist, they could last a lifetime.
Yes, in different forms.
In different forms, and they're painful.
Yeah. You know, the forms where you don't recognize it's the same thing until all of a sudden you get a same result or have a same feeling, and then you go, oh yeah, I've been here before.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the interesting things, is that I watch people often where something gets hard, so they leave it. A marriage gets hard and you leave. Well, I know that one well. You go and we work for somebody, you don't like the boss, so you leave and go find a new job. And what I've discovered is wherever I go, there I am. So I changed husbands, but I ended up marrying the same guy, just had a different haircut and whatever.
Right,
But it
right.
was like, it was the same old, same old, same old. And that took a long time to sort of recognize. I was a little slow on the uptake on that, that I'm the one creating my life experience.
Well, that's right. And those are perfect examples that everyone's experienced, because they think they are not empowered
Exactly.
to create. A lot of people don't know they even have a choice.
I would say
We were brought up, I don't think you're as old as I am, but I was brought up with,
maybe
you make your bed, you lie in it.
That was mine too. Yeah.
You made a commitment, then guess what? You learn to live with it. And actually, there's wisdom in that. You made a commitment.
Yeah.
Now, the wisdom isn't to another, but that's what it means. Like in marriage, you make a commitment in marriage.
Exactly.
But what you're really making is a commitment to yourself to
Yeah.
live in love, through love. But we forget the as love part.
Yes.
Right? To live your best life. Do you think that's what's going to happen when you go into marriage or any kind of commitment that's feels great, or you're passionate about, or you have the skills for, or even that's divinely inspired?
Yeah.
And like, what you said happens. You hit a wall, or you hit a hard spot, or you hit this, and then you turn away. Now, it doesn't matter so much if you pivot, because as you said, you'll meet the same issues that you had, that you resisted looking inside of you in your own power. You'll have another opportunity to discover that power again.
Yeah.
So how can it be a real obstacle? It's just another condition in life that your core belief system has guided you to experience, so that you can ultimately integrate who you are, your humanity and your divinity, so that you can express wholly and fully. And so
simple.
So simple, but
so hard to do.
If it was that simple, no one would even write books. No one would make movies. No one would enter the ministry or take any. But it is. It is a glorious journey. But again, our friend Reverend Douglas Craig. One of his favorite saying is, attitude of gratitude. And you can't change, or Holmes even says, Dr. Holmes, right? You can't change your life condition with the same thoughts you've always thought.
Exactly.
So for me, what I learned in clowning was you've got to break the cycle. Now, I didn't go in planning to break any cycle.
That's the key.
But I found myself over and over and over discovering an emotion or an experience or a way of communication that I'd never experienced before. So part of breaking the cycle is new experience. And what brings us to new experience is not knowledge, not our intellect, but our imagination. And even then, what is imagination based on? What creates our imagination? Moving away from past, or hope for the future, or maybe, and even then, it's based on logic. Kind of, isn't it? It's logic, what's practical, what we can imagine we might be able to create for ourselves. No. That, even imagination, although it's greater than knowledge, is still not the place you need to practice to be in order for, we say divine download, or another way of expressing it is the divine wisdom to reveal itself within you, your own divine wisdom.
Your own divine wisdom.
Because we're spiritually hooked up. We're spiritually intelligent. We're using the one mind. Right?
Always, whether we know it or not.
Right. It thinks through us and as us, and we use that very same mind. So really, and I don't know what the stats are scientifically of how much of our brain we actually use, our brain function, but we know it's a lot less than is possible, right?
Yeah.
And so imagination, spontaneity, trying to new things, and shifting your self-talk, such a big one.
Oh, that's big, self-talk.
The idea that I keep self-sabotaging myself. That's a big expression. I'm always sabotaging myself. Well, even looking at that in a different way.
Yeah.
Because maybe that little voice inside that we both shared in the first half of your show that had us really listen. We recognized some truth, but we had no idea what it was. And it was unfamiliar, but we recognized it.
And took risks based on it.
And we took risks.
Yeah.
But somehow knowing that we'd be okay, that it was, as you said, the direction we were supposed to go in.
Exactly.
And so if that voice, if that intelligence, which is broader and deeper than our actual brain knowledge or intellect, lives in us, then maybe we're not sabotaging ourselves at all. Maybe that within us that knows it knows is preventing us from going in a direction that we think is for the highest and best for ourselves in that moment.
Exactly.
Whatever. And it's course correcting us. And then we get all upset because it didn't work out. But we forget that everything always does work out somehow when we look back in retrospect. You see? So
it's not working.
Yeah. Yeah. And so how do you come to the place of actually creating those ideas to work in alignment with the highest and best of that within that knows it knows? That's what we teach, right?
Yeah, learning to listen to our intuition.
Yeah,
I think is so huge, because there's things that pop up that if we just paid attention, if we quieted the crazy self-talk that's going on, we might hear something else, which is really powerful. And I know a few times I've had experiences that, all of a sudden it's like the observer is watching what I'm doing and speaking to me like, oh, so this is it, eh? This is what you're doing. This is what's going on. I remember that happening in an interview. I was interviewing somebody on a Sunday morning instead of doing an actual talk. I was doing this interview and he's chatting, and all of a sudden my mind goes, this observer, I call it the observer, all of a sudden was like, wow, this is where you're at, eh? This is what you've created. Huh, interesting. Like very, very warm. It's always such a warm voice. So I know it's not my self-talk when that one comes in. It's the inspiration that I get sounds different than the voice in my head that tells me I'm not good enough, or I'm broken and flawed, or whatever. That voice that's critical is, well, that's usually somebody else's voice. I'm remembering what mom said or dad said or a teacher or whoever, right? We get that sort of thing running, and stopping that is so powerful, but it requires taking time in the silence. Meditation is such a powerful tool. I resisted it for so long.
Yeah. Because if we don't get anything, immediately we think we're doing it wrong. Yes. But it's a training of opening and emptying the mind. Which is important for what? Imagination, new possibility, divine download. Yeah.
And hope.
Yes.
There's a peacefulness that comes in those moments of silent meditation that are truly remarkable. As you talked about when you sat at that tree, there's something that happens when we can be silent. And it's not that our mind completely stops. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But whether it does or not is irrelevant. It's taking the time. And what I love about my meditations is occasionally something will pop in and I'll go, whoa, like I didn't know that was in the background. In my subjective mind, I'm like, whoa, I want to erase that. So I look at it and I find a way to acknowledge it and to stop judging it as bad and see that it too is serving me in some way. And then what happens is it it morphs, it changes, it becomes something else. And so the experience of living, for me, the experience of living right now is quite joyful. And I'm happy. I don't know that I've said that too many times in my life, but I'm happy. And that is a really sweet thing coming from where I came from.
Yeah.
And so I know that everybody can be there. And my ministry is to support people in discovering their authentic self. That's, if you can find yourself, you're going to win, whatever that looks like for you, which will be different than for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're so busy looking at other people and going, whoa, I want to have that. I want to be that. I spent years and years doing that. That's miserable. That really makes you miserable after a while, because you can't be whatever somebody else.
Creating your identity based on measurement, and judgment. You're always cycling in self-judgment. And yes, you can create something new and magnificent, but it's not sustainable. And it doesn't bring you the joy you think it will.
It won't bring you any, yeah.
It'll just bring you relief from what was. But of course, we recreate it until we can release it and understand that it's not of value or equal value to the relationship you build with yourself and the spirit of your understanding. Yeah, as one,
absolutely. That, one of the things I think of often when I look at my own journey and as I counsel people or do coaching with people who are on their journey, just to remind that when you sit in what is and you allow yourself to experience it, to allow it to, really express its need, whatever that is. Because when something's going on, there's something I need. And if I will pay attention, I'll know what that is. And in doing that, in being with it rather than resisting it or trying to make it change, most people are trying to make it go away. I have a money issue. Well, I'm rich. Yeah. And you continue to have a money issue because deep down inside, you're not believing that at all. And so there's something about sitting in the pain of the moment that allows you to then move out of it and into something bigger and brighter without recreating that same thing, because you've actually allowed it, life, and accepted it. I think that's the hardest part, is to accept ourselves as we are, where we are, with whatever's going on. And that's the key to do that.
And as you move through the pain and you understand the need you have that was causal to perhaps you creating or co-creating that, the next step is being responsible to get your needs met, not
gotta meet them yourself.
Somebody else's responsibility, right? Nope. Government, healthcare system, partner, it matters not.
Nope, we have to do it ourselves.
That's right. And we don't live in a world that promotes independence or
we don't.
Reliance. I mean, Emerson talked about self-reliance, the most beautiful essay of his work. And it makes so much sense. Of course, it's mine to do. But
I'm the only one who can do it.
Yeah. And I don't think we're happy till we get to that place. And there's a saying, and I before we started the show, we were chatting, and I said recently, I thought of this saying, when they say, "Oh, it's not broke. If it ain't broke, don't fix it." And really, what we're saying as metaphysicians is, if it ain't broke, break it.
Break it.
Break it, because even the goodness in your life, if you stay static in it, becomes a yoke around your neck, around your spirit, more importantly, right? So get out of it, break it, still, because our consciousness is evolving. The collective consciousness is evolving.
Yeah.
And it's coming into its own revelation of its true nature. Harmonious, divine, universal order, peace, right? Empowerment instead of power. Inner prosperity instead of greed. It's coming, and it is already existing as the truth. but it's coming into our own individual consciousness, one person by one person, and moving out, imprinting the collective consciousness.
Exactly.
So that's our job. And we can't just do it from a mountaintop, thinking that when we get together, it's when the power is. It happens right in this moment. There's
In the
only
moment.
an Eckhart Tolle, brilliant. The Power of Now.
There's only now.
Brilliant. It's
Yeah, I
now.
love that book. Yeah.
So,
He's remarkable.
yes, and he's such a humble man. I
Yes.
Can I tell you an Eckhart Tolle story? Do we have time?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
we do.
When I was in Vancouver, in ministerial school,
Mhm.
the minister, who was Reverend Marilyn Knipp, she was my only ministerial teacher,
Yeah.
left for a retreat somewhere. And at that moment, we were given notice by Granville Island to move the center from the big, beautiful open room on the docks because they wanted to reassign the space. They gave us 2 weeks. So at that time, I developed a clown troupe called the Minstrels of Mirth. So we found the bar in the hotel was dusty. It was smoky from Saturday night, right? So we did our first service in there, and we got Eckhart Tolle to speak. Well, first of all, can you imagine Eckhart Tolle in a dusty, smoky bar with alcohol on the carpets? Okay. And can you imagine a congregation who was used to wild spontaneity and dynamics to sitting in front of Eckhart Tolle, who is like a sloth when he comes in? He's like, he looks at everybody, and everyone's twisting and turning and restless in their seat, bringing all that energy because they want the answer from outside themselves. They want to hear the wisdom from outside themselves. And they're like, come on. I paid let's go here. What is this? And when everyone settles down, right, and they get quiet, they surrender, then he utters his first word. It's brilliant. And he speaks slowly.
He does. Yes.
Then you get this restlessness again, and then they settle again. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Now, when he finished, people standing ovation.
Yeah.
He took them to essence, and it was simple. And he showed them by their own experience how they could get there.
Yeah.
And what the result was.
Yeah.
He gave them a great gift. And afterwards, he had no money. I had no money. So I said, why don't we, I got enough for a sandwich. Why don't we split a sandwich? So we went on Granville Island behind I think the kids store, which I love with all the puppets. We sat on the lawn, and I shared my sandwich. We were sitting there talking, cross-legged. I can't remember whether The Power of Now was out. I think it was just going to be published or something like that.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, here's my question. I always wanted to know this. I said, Eckhart, what is enlightenment? And there was, of course, silence.
Silence, yeah.
And I remembered my agitation when before he first started speaking in the service. And he went like this. And I went, no! Oh my God, it's going to be boring, right? That was because I was so used to crisis and reacting to crisis rather than responding and being in the flow with life and being one with life. And I went, oh, this isn't going to go well. Oh my God. Anyway, that was my first experience with Eckhart. I treasure it.
Oh, there's something about him that is such a calming presence.
Oh, yes.
Because he's so relaxed. His book Silence Speaks is also remarkable because it is, and that's exactly what you spoke of. It was like he was silent until the congregation met him there. And that's not an easy, well, it wouldn't be an easy thing for me to do because when
you think of how much we try to control condition in our life and we change condition, our old saying is like changing the chairs in the Titanic. listen, you're not going in a good place. You've got to stop trying to control the outside and listen and be with the inside. I mean, it's not, people can hear this message everywhere.
Oh, every place you go. So we've got just 4 minutes left.
Okay.
And what I'd like you to do is just leave our guests, our people watching, with some final nugget. What do you think is the most important takeaway from this topic of the obstacle is the path? How would you wrap that up?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask me that, but not until just before you started speaking. Nothing planned. My gosh, there's so many nuggets. I think do whatever you can do, be whatever you want to be newly. Seek out new ways of being, new ways of walking in the world, new ways of communicating, new ways of thinking, new ways of listening, new ways of surrendering.
Yeah.
And I don't mean working on yourself to improve yourself. I don't mean that, because you're perfect just the way you are. You are whole, complete, and perfect just the way you are, right? It's about doing these things to get a new experience of yourself, to get more an expanded experience, and to trust yourself. That's how you build trust. And when you trust yourself, you trust others in the world.
Yeah.
And I was, before you started the show, I was in the bathroom getting ready, and I'm going, what good is sitting alone in your room? Come hear the music play. You know,
is a
cabaret, old friend. Come to the cabaret. You know, I think that's it.
I love that.
That's it. Whatever you want to be, whatever you find you need, fill it, become it yourself. Act as if, and it will be.
And it will be. You'll see it when you believe it. And it is what it is. And wherever you go, there you are. Those are my final thoughts.
You know, it's been a joy to be with you again. I don't think we've seen each other since you were pregnant with Genevieve. I don't think so.
Yeah, so that's 19 years.
Yep. And I'm so proud of you that you have gone this route with this teaching. And it's not easy work doing that radio show every week with new people. And you have joy. You have joy. That's what connected me to you. My center in Calgary that I founded was called the Joy of Life.
Joy of Life Center.
Here we are. All right. Well, blessings to you and to everybody. And it was an honor to be with you today.
Well, I'm so grateful to you, and I'm so grateful to Deja, who is our producer here. She does a marvelous job all the time. And for all of you watching, just check out Nadine's website, NadineRogers.com. And believe me, it is well worth the visit. She is a remarkable individual, as you now know. And we'll be sure to have you back in the new year, I think, to talk further, because there was lots of stuff that we didn't get to because of time. Thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you, Nadine, for being here. This was absolutely a gift. It was so good to spend time with you. And stick around for a second, because I want to ask you something else after the show. And for everybody watching, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And, consider donating to the New Thought Media Network. Let's keep the good news flowing. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you again next time. Bye for now.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network. Come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.